Hello, my name is Kainton Munonye, and in this presentation we are going to be looking at perform qualitative risk analysis. Perform qualitative risk analysis follows from identify risks. Remember, the first process under the risk management knowledge area is plan risk management followed by identify risks. The identify risks process, this is just the preceding process we discussed, produces the risk register. Now we have to perform qualitative risk analysis on items or risks identified in the risk register. Let's now go ahead to look at what is involved in perform qualitative risk analysis. Discussion is going to be based on the Pinboard Guide 5th edition. Perform qualitative risk analysis is a process of prioritizing risks for further analysis or action by assessing and combining their probability of occurrence and impact. The key benefit of this process is that it enables project managers to reduce the level of uncertainty and to focus on high priority risks. Perform qualitative risk analysis assesses the priority of identified risks using their relative probability or likelihood of occurrence, the corresponding impact on project objectives if the risk occur, as well as other factors such as the time frame for response and the organization's risk tolerance associated with the project constraint of cost, schedule, scope, and quality. Alright, so perform qualitative risk analysis is usually a rapid and cost-effective means of establishing priorities for planned risk responses, and it lays a foundation for perform quantitative risk analysis. That is the succeeding process after perform qualitative risk analysis. Alright, let's look at some of the. Also take note that the perform qualitative risk analysis is performed regularly throughout the project life cycle as defined in the project risk management plan. Sometimes these projects can lead to perform quantitative risk analysis, or it may even lead directly to plan risk responses. Let's now take a look at the ITTOs of the perform qualitative risk analysis. One of them is the risk management plan. The scope baseline is another one. The risk register, the enterprise environmental factors, and the organizational process assets. There are about 6 tools and techniques used in perform qualitative risk analysis, and one of them is the risk probability and impact assessment, probability and impact matrix, risk data quality assessment, risk categorization, risk urgency assessment, and experts judgment. Just like identify risks, perform qualitative risk analysis also have one output, and that is project document updates. Okay, let's now take a closer look at these inputs and why they are necessary to perform qualitative risk analysis. The first one is the risk management plan. The key element of the risk management plan used in perform qualitative risk analysis process include roles and responsibilities for conducting risk management, budgets, schedule activities for risk management, risk categories, definitions of probability and impact, the probability and impact matrix, and revise stakeholder risk tolerances. We also need the scope baseline for us to perform qualitative risk analysis, and remember the scope baseline is made up of the approved scope statement, the WBS, and the related WBS dictionary. WBS stands for Work Breakdown Structure. Projects of a common or recurrent type tend to have more well understood risks, and projects using state-of-the-art or first-of-its-kind technology and highly complex projects tend to have more uncertainty. These can be evaluated by examining the scope baseline. So the type of project and what is involved, the scope baseline can help you. A risk register for sure, we don't need to emphasize, it contains all the risks. Information about them can be used to prioritize. Remember, if we are talking about qualitative risk analysis, think of prioritizing risks. into categories of priority list. Enterprise environmental factors may affect the process. For instance, industry studies of similar projects by risk specialists, risk databases that may be available from industry or other sources. Then we have organizational process assets. I've discussed this one previously. Some of them that might influence perform qualitative risk analysis might be prior or similar projects that was done before. Let's now spend some time looking at the tools and techniques of the perform qualitative risk analysis. And we say that one of them is risk probability and impact assessment. What is a risk probability and impact assessment? It's a technique that investigates the likelihood that each specific risk will occur. The risk impact assessment investigates the potential effects on a project objective such as schedule, cost, quality, or performance, including both negative effects of the threats and positive effects for opportunities. Remember, a risk is an uncertain event that might have a positive or negative effect on the project or its objectives or deliverables. Risk probabilities and impacts are rated according to the definitions given in the risk management plan. The risks with low ratings of probability and impact will be included within the risk register as part of the watch list for future monitoring. Let me tell you a little about watch lists. Watch list contains lists of risks that are considered to be low priority risks. They are maintained in the watch list and monitored as the project progresses. Another important tool and technique is the probability and impact matrix. What is this all about? Risks can be prioritized for further quantitative analysis and planning based on their risk rating. Okay, so how do we get the risk rating? How do you rate a risk? Risk ratings are assigned to risks based on their assessed probability and impact. Evaluation of each risk's importance and priority for attention is typically conducted using a lookup table or a probability and impact matrix. And this matrix specifies combination of probability and impact that leads to rating the risk low, moderate or high priority. Descriptive terms such as or numerical values can be used depending on the organizational preference. I would have given an example of risk, probability and impact matrix, but maybe I'll do it in a different presentation. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, just also take note that a risk is assigned a risk score. And how do we get this risk score? It's a combination of the risk probability and its impact. Combination of them provides a risk score. Alright, okay, so let's move on to the next tool and technique, and that is risk data quality assessment. The risk data quality assessment is a technique to evaluate the degree to which the data about risks is useful for risk management. It involves examining the degree to which the risk is understood and the accuracy, quality, reliability, and integrity of the data about the risk. The use of low quality risk data may lead to qualitative risk analysis of little use to the project. So what we are saying is that the risk data that has been gathered has to be okay, has to have high quality. It has to be accurate enough to add to the usefulness of the risk analysis. If data quality is unacceptable, it may be necessary to gather better data Often the collection of information about risks is not very easy. It consumes more time and resources than originally planned. The number of steps in the scale are usually established when defining the risk attitude of the organization. Let's now look at another tool and techniques, and that is risk categorization. Risks to the project can be categorized by sources of the risk using the risk breakdown structure, the area of the project affected using the work breakdown structure, other useful categories, let's say the project phase, to determine the areas of the project most exposed to the effect of uncertainty. Risk can be categorized by common root causes. The technique helps determine work packages, activities, project phases, or even roles in the project, which can lead to the development of effective responses. Alright, another tool and technique is risk urgency assessment. Risks requiring near-term responses may be considered more urgent to address. So, one of the tool and techniques is to analyze the risk and assign them urgency levels. In the cases of priority may include probability of detecting the risk, time to effect a risk response, symptoms and warning signs, and risk rating. In some qualitative analysis, the assessment of risk urgency is combined with the risk ranking that is determined from the probability and impact matrix to give the final risk severity. And finally, we have expert judgment. We've also discussed expert judgment severally, so you leverage on the knowledge of the expert to help you understand how to categorize or prioritize these risks, because experts have experience in similar projects that has been done before, and experts can be consulted using facilitation workshops and interviews. So this is how we come to the end of this important process: perform qualitative risk analysis. I hope this has been informative for you, and thanks a lot for joining me. As usual, I'm taking you back to the ITTO's page so that you spend some time getting used to these inputs, tools and techniques and outputs. And please join me in my next presentation as I begin discussion of perform quantitative risk analysis.